as we approach the omega point, which is also the alpha point of the new world that is being created by the very energies of our self-transformation. A divine renaissance is taking place within those individuals whose artistic genius is being stimulated, activated, enlivened, and their creative imagination augmented by the connection with the vast intelligence of God consciousness. And it is in our power to attune to that supreme energy, wisdom, love, joy, and power of creation, to literally redream the world as a heavenly realm. But to do that, we must know that there is no world outside of God, because nothing is outside of God. God has no outside. And so at this very moment, we are within the Godhead, even if the consciousness is in a state of ignorance of that fact. It will awaken when it is ordained by the mind of God for that to happen. But the more that the yearning for that opening to the infinite nature of your being develops and is sustained, the more that that internal latent genius becomes nourished and grows within the womb of consciousness. The Buddhists of the third turning of the wheel of their Dharma called it the Tathagata Garbha, the embryo of Buddhahood that each of us has within us, the divine spark, if you will, and that at some point will open fully and reveal the Buddha nature as our true being. This is the moment for that birth of our divine nature into the world, for the birth of our Christ consciousness, for the birth of our divine being into the fullness of its power. And all that is required is to surrender to that process and not resist it. And the more that there is wonderment about the nature of that inner Buddha consciousness, that inner divine awareness that is eternal and that alone can comprehend reality. and can alone be free of all suffering and all karma, and can alone bring joy and fulfillment to life. The more that yearning is awakened and constant, the faster the growth of that fetal Buddha within reaches full term and sees the light and is fully born. And this is the time in which that final consummation of all of your past lifetimes, of the entire journey through space and time as a dream field, is consummated by the knowledge of who you really are. A knowledge that had to be forgotten in order to seek it again and to find the wisdom through our own effort of purification of our hearts and our minds and our will to serve God humbly and in egoless constancy. And as we do that, the burning away of the false self is happening. And it's happening for most subliminally. It's not noticed for a long time. It seems like nothing is happening. One is still struggling. The mind is still producing chatter. But the more that the heart is engaged in that seeking of the ultimate connection to the Supreme Real, the more that that magnetic energy is having an effect of purifying the subconscious and weakening the sensor's ability to veil the superconscious level of your being from you. And at some moment, there will be an upthrust of the kundalini Shakti, and you'll find yourself in chakra 7 and literally out of body, because you will realize you were never in the body. Because what you are is a dimension of consciousness that transcends the whole phenomenal plane, encompassing, saturating, and completely transcending it in the same way that you contain a dream at night that you are dreaming. You may be in the dream, but a moment comes when you are lucid and the dream is within you. And then the dream itself can be modified, and a new dream can arise just like that, out of nothing. Creatio ex nihilo. Because creation comes out of that emptiness, that nothingness, that realizes the purity of consciousness that cannot be defined. And all of the quantum and quantum wave functions are decollapsed instantaneously. And there is total freedom of that creative power to bring forth a reflection of its own inner beauty that appears as a new world. And it is this miracle that is perhaps the ultimate prize of our gaining God consciousness and the unification of samsara and nirvana, the inconceivable oneness of multiplicity and the absolute transcendental inconceivability. And it is at this moment that the paintbrush of God, the supreme artist, is put into your hands. And the music of God's love pours out of the instrument of your heart. And the joy of the artistry of creation of a new nature, a new world of beings of benign beauty and power, leads to a complete fascination with the creative intelligence of God and its source in that eternal presence that can only be fully realized when there is not even a trace of separation. And so it is this that constitutes the essence of Sat Yoga, to eliminate any sense of difference between your sense of I and the I that is God. And because this is the truth, there can be no obstacle to that attainment. It is the destiny of all who choose to love God in such a way as to know God as thyself. So may that yearning take the place of all other desires, and you will quickly realize God and be liberated from the illusion of a world of suffering. It is ordained that now is the time when the window is open to that supreme reality. May you take advantage of this most auspicious period at the end of time to achieve the highest reward that life can offer. And know that it is offered to you, and it is yours when you want it wholeheartedly. May you be in your heart in such a way that you realize this is all you ever wanted, and now it is here. Namaste. May you be filled with the peace that comes from feeling God's love. With the knowledge that you do not need to understand God in order to have that love, because it is your reality, and the love itself is what brings the wisdom of supreme understanding. And may you have the deeper peace of penetrating so deeply into the unconscious, superconscious, inconceivable self that is God, that is the only I, that all the sanskaras, all the tendencies, all the predispositions of ignorance and impurity and of limitation, all are completely dissolved, incinerated, annihilated forever, and the fullness of the real is revealed. And may you know the supreme peace when that revelation of the presence of God within and without becomes the fullness of redemption. When no trace of the false self remains, and the glory of God fills your countenance, and your whole energy field extending to infinity with the radiance of God's uncreated light.